Hi, I'm Reb Myron. I'm a minister through Pathways of Light, and I've been a Course in Miracles student for 43 years. I'm going through the lessons again this year, asking Jesus for clarity, and then I write from that clarity. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. So let's get started. We're looking at lesson 339. I will receive whatever I request. No one desires pain, but he can think that pain is pleasure. No one would avoid his happiness, but he can think that joy is painful, threatening, and dangerous. Everyone will receive what he requests, but he can be confused indeed about the things he wants, the state he would attain. What can he then request that he would want when he receives it? He has asked for what will frighten him and bring him suffering. Let us resolve today to ask for what we really want, and only this, that we may spend this day in fearlessness without confusing pain with joy or fear with love. Father, this is your day. It is a day in which I would do nothing by myself, but hear your voice in everything I do, requesting only what you offer me, accepting only thoughts you share with me. This lesson is hard to believe. Nearly everyone I've ever worked with has doubted this. Their doubt would take the form of deliberate misunderstanding, or they may feel it applies to most people, but not to them. And I'm no different. I have looked at my life and thought what a mess it used to be, and could say why it was. I had so much guilt. I believed that I was asking to be punished. But after a while of studying the course, I was so much better, and yet bad things continued to happen. I had to look deeper. When I was working, I would sometimes lose a customer. I would complain that I had done such a good job for that person. How could that happen? I would feel betrayed and resent him. I would be afraid of losing my job. So I would think of who was really responsible, who had caused me to lose this customer, and I would project the blame onto them and resent them as well. I would dread having to tell my boss. I would think how unreasonable he would be to blame me, and I was sure he would. I would think how hard I worked for him and how unappreciative he was. I would worry and fret and continue to build a case against him so as to continue deflecting guilt onto others in an effort to look innocent. In all the years I worked, I seldom lost a customer, but the fear of doing so was a constant thing. There was so much guilt being thrown about in these scenarios. I was willing to take down anyone in my deepest, desperate efforts to save myself. All this was not so clear to me when it was happening. I seemed to have been good at avoiding the truth when it suited me. As Jesus says, he who would not forgive must judge, for he must justify his failure to forgive. People who believe in guilt will feel guilty and they will fear punishment. In retrospect, the entire time I worked for this company, this is what I did. It was years of guilt, deflecting guilt, expecting punishment, which, by the way, never came. But I punished myself because my belief in guilt caused so much fear and I suffered from it. Guilt and fear and punishment was what I was asking for. Without the fog of fear I lived under, I would have realized that the only way I was ever going to get fired was if I killed someone important. I worked for my brother. I made him a lot of money and he loved me. All the fear was caused by believing in guilt. I could feel foolish for my behavior, regretful for the wasted years, but I don't. It was those years that taught me I will always get what I request, and my thoughts and beliefs are my request. It taught me that I cannot talk my way out of the consequences of my requests. And since the thoughts were mine and not someone else's, there is no one to blame in my stead. Trying to make someone else guilty just increased the fear because it increased the belief in guilt. The only solution was to look at the situation without flinching and forgive it. Those years taught me to do just that, and I'm grateful for them. I would like to say that I learned my lesson so thoroughly that I never entertain guilt or try to project it, but that would not be true. What is true now is that I understand what I'm doing and I choose again. Sometimes I have to sit with the fear for a while before I'm able to let go. Fear can be remarkably paralyzing for me even now, but I always do forgive and let go. I've been retired for a while now. The reason this scenario came to mind is because of something that happened yesterday that brought up those old fear responses. I received a package from a lawyer threatening to take me to court if I didn't pay $2,400 for using a copyrighted picture on my website. The ego mind went right to work with this bit of information. My website is pretty big. Most of the pictures have accumulated over years, and when I was adding to it, I used pictures I found on Facebook. In my defense, I honestly had no idea I shouldn't be doing that. I I mean, they were all over Facebook. Why would I think they were protected? A while back, I became friends with a photographer, and I began to realize I shouldn't do this anymore. I planned to replace those photos I had used, but it was such a big, massive job, I never found time to do it. So here I am with this $2,400 threat, which I have no way of paying, and the ego feels unfairly treated. Triggered by memories of those years at work, fear took over. The ego came up with a list of who was to blame and how unfair life is, and this is hopeless. I should close the website and give up everything because who knows what else I've done wrong. Oh my goodness, that was not the half of it. After my initial panic and ego response, I talked to Jesus about it. Well, that sounds reasonable and adult, but it was more like my hair was on fire and Jesus, what the hell? But he answered anyway. I calmed down and went online to see if this was legitimate. It is, and this lawyer is known for trolling for this kind of thing and getting what he can from it. A brief moment of resenting the lawyer, but I can admire him for having found his niche. He's just trying to make a living. So I asked ChatGPT how to respond and then did so. I think he will be reasonable and neither let it go or reduce the fine significantly. There's not a lot to be gained from bringing someone to court whose use of a picture brought no profit to her and she doesn't have any money. But I'm not worried about it now. I'm not making anyone guilty and I'm not in fear. I'm at peace with this chapter of the story of Myron. I've forgiven it and let it go. Years of watching my mind, making many mistakes, correcting them, learning better how the world we made works. And it paid off. Yes, I can still fall for the ego, but I don't follow that rocky road for long. I understand it's only my thoughts that hurt me. I now know to choose love rather than fear if I want to be at peace and if I'm ready to awaken. Today, I'm no longer asking for guilt, so I'm not expecting punishment. And when I inadvertently do so, I forgive and choose love instead. Love may not yet always be my first choice, but it will inevitably be where I land. And so I practice one situation, one thought, one breath at a time. When guilt arises, I notice it. When fear grabs hold, I pause. I let myself feel it, and then I choose differently. It's simple, not always easy, but it works. Each small choice by love and for love undoes a little more of the old patterning, and my life becomes lighter, step by step. Thanks so much for joining me in this reading. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, then please like it, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. I'll be back soon with another reading. See you then.